Welcome back. After our vacation, you are watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. My name is Mark Monlux. I'm a freelance illustrator and cartoonist who lives in Tacoma, Washington. I got a couple of books out, The Comic Critic Reviews Seldom Seen Films, and The Comic Critic Presents Blockbusters. You can find those both on my store, where I do compilations for cartoon movie reviews.
I'm Bill Morse. I'm a cartoonist and illustrator based in Seattle, Washington, and I do a comic strip called Rhapsodies.
And my name's Crystal Rollins, and I am part of Wayward Studios, and I've done a number of comics, including Aspect, Jacosha, and most recently, Light and Shadow.
Cool.
And who's our special guest?
Are you talking about my cat?
Yes.
It's just Jace. It's always Jace. He's so needy.
Ian sent the text saying that he did too much family stuff. He's having to get caught up on work, and he'll be traveling next week. So we won't be seeing Ian for the next couple of episodes.
Big annoying kitty. You being a butt? Yeah, you're drooling everywhere. Gross. Alright, that's it. Eek. No! No! He's not very good at taking no as an answer.
I just got through sending in my application to the
Emerald City?
Lilac City Comic Con.
Ah.
They're actually extending out or starting the process early. That this is like 11 months in advance because they just did in June. But their reasoning is that they had to turn away a lot of people last year, and they're going to be rearranging the same space they have now, but with more tables. I think they could. I think the feedback they got was that they could take more tables. There were very few dead tables at that event, but they certainly could have put in a lot more tables. The aisle width was too wide. But you know what happens if you go to a convention, and if you have more than a 4 baby. I like to measure width by baby strollers.
Okay. If you're saying 3.
If you have more than 2 baby strollers widths going both ways, more than 4, then you're in a danger zone. Especially if you're in a larger venue, because what happens is no one can fill up those aisles. Even a good attendance won't fill up those aisles, and you lack the energy that creates a buzz in the room. And you know how it is at Emerald City sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And there, where even if you have 6 baby carriages wide, it can still be log jam depending on where you are at that event. But that's why I like when I'm at Emerald City. I like to be not on the main flow because I've been there, but I like to be on one of the offshoots off the main flow where the aisles are a little bit more narrow and people tend to get in there and have that buzz going. Whereas if you're stuck on a thoroughfare and it's crowded, you have basically a captive audience for as long as they can walk by you. So what's everyone working on today?
Oh, I'm starting to brainstorm for this this month's character design challenge. This month's topic is tarot cards, and so at the moment I'm playing around with an idea for the sun, but if I turn out not to like it, I'm leaning, if this one doesn't work out for me, I'm considering giving the Fool or the Hermit a try.
I'm just going by memory, isn't the sun, isn't there a casket on the water with a family coming out of a casket? The sun overhead?
I don't remember. I'd have to look at my article. At the moment, I've sort of been playing around with just the way the stylized sun looks like on a lot of the more traditional cards.
The thing about tarot cards, there's always a fascinating, it's that every item in the tarot card has symbolic meaning.
Mm-hmm.
At least if you're going by the older decks. I've seen a lot of decks that are literally just illustrations, and they're not that visually narrative.
I've seen ones a lot like those as well.
And I've seen modern ones where they go ahead and they take the old symbology, but they go ahead and they update it. Like instead of a bird, they use an iPhone. To represent receiving a message.
What's her name? She goes by Egypt Erdnats. Her real name's Peggy something, and she did the webcomic Decrypting Rita.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She did an entire tarot deck that was like, it's named something like Tarot for the 20th Century, and she was playing with that it was like a cyberpunk / modern deck, and she had tons of imagery in there that was actually really dense with meaning. And like you said, she'd taken old interpretation images and replaced them with things that had modern meaning to them.
Oh, I haven't seen that one, but she's generally very good, so I'm sure it was excellent.
I mean, yeah, I actually have it. I still haven't cracked it open.
Mm-hmm.
Just 'cause it's so damn pretty, and it came in like this really awesome high quality box, and I was just like, that's just gonna go on the shelf for now.
Doing a tarot deck, that's 88 figures.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of figures.
The most recent one I saw was one that was cashing in on DC Comics, and that a friend of mine who owns a comic book store had just picked up, partially because he's into that sort of thing and thought it might move pretty quickly. But it was sort of like the half of the heroes and villains they chose for each card made absolutely no sense as far as how the card would have gone.
So, see what I was talking about, where like they sometimes try and make tarot decks kind of like they're making a deck of cards.
Yes.
And they just kind of slap things in. Ugh. It's the worst.
So take a look at my screen and you'll see the alien that I'm working on today from a wonderful little gem called Metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
The practical special effects film from the late 80s that, again, these are the more obscure aliens that you're never going to run up against. E.T. is not. But I'm thinking he might need some more teeth on that lower jaw there.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, what bird number are you on today?
I'm on 71 once I get to it, but right before the sketch stream, I started working on a new image to put on the main page of the Kickstarter, because we actually have the gallery website available now for the birds. And you can do this thing now where you actually edit the header of the Kickstarter after it's done, so you can have like a being produced now thing showing up versus just an old Kickstarter image. I can screen share it really quick. It's basically changing from the cardinal to a snowy owl, and I use the same bar format that Em had basically put together, but now with the website on there, because I'm not sure if I can actually directly link the website on. God, it's taking forever to upload the new image for some reason. But
what I like is that new button off to the right-hand side, that blue button, where you can put in a link after
yeah, which which I should definitely do now because we have a gallery website that has links to the Gumroad. Because I've opened up commissions in case anybody wants to pay me money to make more birds before I finish all the birds.
I found it very useful to put in a link to where I'm selling my trading cards.
Oh yeah, and that's the intention once we're fully ready for that. Right now, I'm only on 70, and I'm not going to be doing the print run until I have all 100 of the images ready.
Right.
So
I really like that owl. Even it stands out really nicely, even by the group that the amount you've done already, bunch you've done already.
It did come out nice. It's definitely. I mean, honestly, I like more than half of the birds, and that to me is a really good sign that I'm doing pretty good. That they actually don't hate very many of them. So I'm definitely one of those self-defeatist artist types when it comes to that. Oh man, this isn't perfect. I need to burn it in a fire. Yeah.
What did everyone do during their 4th of July vacation? Or rather, just for their 4th?
I got sunburned.
Just the usual. I spent most of it as an office day, but I also winged down town to see if there was anything going on in the Mohi Park, which there frequently is. And then I checked out Gasworks briefly, and then went back later for the fireworks.
Back when I lived in Seattle, I'd always go to Gasworks. And you'd have to go there several hours early to get a prime seat.
And generally, I found anywhere is good, but I've discovered that it's best to walk there.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
I learned the hard way that you will not be able to bike. You may be able to bike there, but I've discovered the hard way you're not going to be able to bike back. Not for the first.
Yeah, the crowds are just
anyway.
Yeah, the walking traffic's just way too thick. My wife and I, we just stayed home. We spent our entire 30th anniversary just doing nothing. It was extremely relaxing.
You're not allowed to do nothing for your anniversary. Pshaw.
Apparently, yes, you can. So we thought about doing something, but what happened? She works for the state, and they didn't have a budget approved for the longest time, and wasn't sure whether or not she'd be even with.
Oh, I heard about that.
So at the 11th hour, they finally got things signed. Enough for everybody, but enough for my wife. But by then, of course, I think we were just using that as an excuse not to plan anything. And it was too hot to actually do anything out in the yard, so we just it's kind of nice to kind of have guilt-free reading. And, I completely recharged my batteries by doing nothing. It was absolutely wonderful staycation.
I know the feeling. Sort of, well, I didn't do nothing, but I did a whole lot of watercolors. But as far as all of the projects I had in mind for inflicting on myself, I pretty much otherwise chilled totally. But the watercolors came out pretty well. Did I show them, or?
You showed some. I don't know if it was. It would have been 2 weeks ago when we last streaming. You showed off some of the watercolors you'd done.
Okay.
I think you showed all of them, Bill.
Okay, just making sure. I'm trying to keep doing a few. I'm trying to keep at it a little bit because I don't want to find myself stuck with being rusty the next time I do one of these painting trips. And so I've been doing just a few toss-aways, mostly for character designs for some side projects.
Stowe will not be joining us today.
Again?
And will not be, he's going to be teaching summer camp cartooning to kids.
Oh, very cool.
Is he doing that as part of Short Run?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because I heard Short Run was doing a bunch of one-off summer camp classes for cartooning.
He's doing it through Annie Wright, which is the local private school for girls here.
Yes.
Is that the same one that he is like living near that he gets internet from?
Yeah. And he lives basically above the school because his wife is a house mother to a lot of the residents.
Gotcha.
He just got back from a 2-week vacation in which last year, on a whim, they had stopped in on this town, and apparently there's this domestic pet animal sanctuary for unwanted cats and things of that nature. And about 15% of the town's population has a job at this place. It's huge.
Wow.
And one of the things they found was you could spend some volunteer time. So they decided to spend a week volunteering. And if you do that, you get lots of discounts in the local area. Like an Airbnbs will give you like 50% off if you do stuff like that.
That's
He said
cool.
it was a very near thing of them coming home with yet another animal, but their agreement with the school is they can either have 1 dog or 2 cats. And I happen to know that they have 2 cats. And apparently not hedgehogs, but guinea pigs do not count.
So guinea pigs are a free pet? They don't count towards your amount of dogs and cats?
Yes, I think it's because, maybe it's a roaming requirement. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, a lot of places have no issue with like rodents or like guinea pigs because they stay in a box. And they're not going to get out and like claw the furniture and baseboards and the carpet.
If I was a landlord and I found out someone had a ferret, I would, those people wouldn't be getting their damage deposit back.
Yeah. Ferrets are a whole different thing than a guinea pig.
Oh yeah, that musk, he won't come out of it.
Not only that, ferrets claw and chew at things almost as bad as cats do if they're not trained right. And most people don't train ferrets right.
Yeah, it was rather interesting. I remember when I had this rather interesting call-in job doing surveys at apartment complexes. It was sort of like while several of these places had very special rules for dogs, at the same time they had even different rules for specific breeds, which amongst the obvious ones, pit bulls and Rottweilers, but much to my surprise, also chows.
Oh, a chow is a terrible animal to have. They have terrible temperaments. Oh, not a family dog. And I know this because there was a chow that lived in our old neighborhood, and worst dog. Of course, now we're going to get a bunch of hate mail for me saying, "Oh, you don't understand the misunderstood chow. Chows are wonderful."
Well, we might get hate mail if we actually got viewership. Last I looked, we only get about 20 people watching each one. So you might get like one hate message statistically, unless it just happens that all of our viewers were chow lovers, in which case, great, Mark, there go all our viewers.
Yeah, I mean, but otherwise, it's sort of like no such thing as bad publicity. Troll away, dude.
We become the only comics and sketch streaming thing that gains notoriety explicitly amongst chow-loving dog groups because they tried to block us.
So if you're a chow lover, feel free to call Bill Morris.
I didn't say anything bad about them. You said you were talking smack.
You were saying that trolls could go right ahead and attack us. And I figure, well, if he wants to take on the trolls, you know.
What he's saying is you're working the phone line for all the hate mail.
As long as you're going to give them the go-ahead like that.
And again, you're the one hosting the stream, so you get all the nice, nasty messages through YouTube, Mark.
I never really had a problem on YouTube except for this one guy leaving comments, and it's obviously spam comments because they don't make any sense. I mean, it's like written by a robot. And I'm trying to figure out how to block this guy completely because he keeps coming back.
I've never had a robot messenger that was that diligent. That's like kind of odd all in itself. So for a quick preview, here's the start of a whooping crane. Can anybody see? Is my video playing? It's showing, I can see my big video, but I can't see like my small video. So I wasn't sure.
Okay, I can see it. I mean, weird angle of the head there, but I'm sure it'll look fine.
I'm hoping that, once again, I'm not seeing things bouncing from small screen to big screen like I normally do. I just see everything in the small screens down below. Maybe if I click on this. Crystal, you say something.
Something. Trying to get the little screen to pop up. Yeah, I don't think the automatic screens are working.
You don't think so?
I don't know. It didn't change online. It just kept showing Bill's picture. It didn't really change to anything.
Well, on mine, it just shows mine all the time.
Okay, I wasn't. I mean, I was getting you, but and I.
Well, I mean, when Crystal talks, do you get Crystal or you get me?
At the moment, I have Crystal, but and she's not talking at all at the moment, so we might be stuck on her.
Well, she was making noise.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let me try this. Let's see. Hide from broadcast, present to everyone, profile. What's this button do? Okay, I think it's working now. Bill, say something.
Something.
That's up to you. Chris.
Okay.
Something. Talking here. Oh, seems to have worked now.
Yeah, it's working for me. I'm sorry that hopefully not everybody was staring at me just cleaning little white specks off of my artwork.
Okay.
I promise I will actually I might do something different next week because I'm almost done cleaning up all these things and start coloring.
Well, I mean, it is epic sketch time, so if you're working on a drawing, that should be fine, even if it's the same theme of drawings. You've still got a new drawing most weeks.
Yeah. I generally just I want to be not too behind on my regular stuff because sort of working on what I'm doing for the rest of the day just doesn't seem right for this thing. So
Now, when you went on vacation, Bill, did you use up all your buffer, or was there something left when you came back?
There was about a week left. So it's sort of a case of where I still am struggling just a little bit, but it's not like I'm having to stay up till midnight to be absolutely sure that I have something posted.
Apparently, a lot of people went and saw Spider-Man this weekend.
Oh, right. I'd heard relatively good things.
Did anyone in this group see anything?
I went and saw Baby Driver yesterday.
Oh, how was that? I'm very excited.
So good. The thing I could not believe about that movie was
It's 5 o'clock.
it was so well choreographed. Like there's this music that just flows throughout the entire movie and goes like perfectly with everything that's happening on screen. And that's kind of like a thematic element throughout the movie. So that's not a spoiler at all. It's just something to watch for when you watch the movie. You really get into it if you're into like movies that can really blend the music into the visuals that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's directed by the same guy as Scott Pilgrim, and the way that like the sound effects and the music go with the motion and what's going on screen, it's like even better than what he got to work in Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, that's definitely piqued my interest. Not getting
Combined with one of the most amazing car drive scenes I've ever seen. And that's just in like the first 5 minutes.
Oh, speaking of cool car drive scenes, I saw What's Up, Doc last night, which is as far as comic car chases is concerned.
Barbara Streisand?
Yes.
Let's see, Ryan O'Neal?
Yep.
And it was a VW, if I remember.
Yes, among other things. Though it started out as a catering, one of those delivery bicycles.
Like a rickshaw?
No. What's the one that has the basket, the huge, it's technically a tricycle and has a basket in the front?
Like it has 2 wheels in the front?
Yeah.
Oh man, you never see those.
Well,
I don't know what that's called because I think I've only seen one of those like once.
So was that part of your double feature that you pulled in?
yeah, I was my original intent was trying to find, for lack of a better word, live action cartoons, which was how What's Up, Doc was described to me when I first was choosing it. But I ended up sort of going with, I probably will end up labeling this thing Buck Henry, Barbara Streisand comedy. The other one I did was Owl and the Pussycat.
I don't remember seeing Owl and the Pussycat. Who's in that one, Bill?
Barbara Streisand and, who was the other guy? Here we go.
Has Barbara Streisand done anything since Yentl?
I'm sure. Not film-wise, I don't think. Oh, that's the soundtrack. Okay, there it is. George Segal. Or is that Siegel? Huh.
So, Crystal, who are you going to have do your bird cards again?
I'm going to get them through Cat Print because they have... well, I've just heard a lot of good things about their print quality in general. Their turnaround time's pretty short, like only about a week. And they actually offer some other cardstock options. So I'm actually going to get these printed on this material that they call felted that looks a lot like a hot press watercolor paper, which I think is really going to work out nicely with the texture in the original illustrations.
Now, for those of you who are watching and they don't understand what hot press means,
it's like smoother watercolor paper. Like everybody knows about watercolor paper that's like toothy and kind of has like a little bit of a grid pattern, and the hot press would be the one that's more.
Well, the phrase hot press and cold press actually comes from how they print the paper. Cold presses, the reason they end up with more of a tooth on them is that they actually run them through a cold press. Whereas the hot press, there's steam involved and they're running the rollers hot, and that gets a smoother quality to the paper. Thus, you get hot press means something with a little bit of tooth to it, and, cold press means something with a little bit of tooth, and hot press means something much smoother.
Huh. I did not know that. I only ever saw the terms in context with watercolor pads.
See, I figured it was something like that, but because I work with steel at work, and hot rolled steel and cold rolled steel have a similar thing where when you roll the steel hot, it's very smooth and consistently textured, and when you roll it cold, it has a lot more variation in the textures that end up on the final sheet. So I just kind of figured from that watercolor paper must have the same reason why cold is rougher than hot. But yeah, that's part of why I'm going through Cat Press. I mean, honestly, actually, that's the main reason. Like, there's other places I could go if I just wanted to get them printed on, like, glossy or, like, just a very plain cardstock. But one of the stretch goals was that I would actually bump them up to being really nice, fancier paper.
So I'm going to mention something to you guys because I don't think you've heard about it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can find a resource for it online here. It is a new comic convention that's happening in Puyallup.
Ooh.
Is it Polycon?
What?
Is it Polycon?
I've never heard of Polycon.
Oh, well, Polycon's just like a little library convention that happens down in Puyallup.
No, this is at the actual Puyallup Fair complex.
Oh, interesting.
I found out that an artist alley table is only going to be $25,
Wow.
and that booths were going to be a mere 50. So I figured, oh well,
You're just gonna bump up to a booth?
No, I'm going to just do a table. I mean, $25 for a table rate. My stuff is set up for a table. Perfect. I know how to do a 6 to 8 foot table. I can set up blindfolded anymore. And let me see if well, I'm going to have to look for the email, I guess. Something and Geekfest. So.
Well, when you've got the site, I'd love a link, because, yeah, when I went to the Polycon Little Library Con, Puyallup treated me just fine, so I'd be totally willing to pay $25 to do an artist table in Puyallup.
I'm typing it into our chat code on the left. It is facebook.com PCTGF. I'll actually go to that page and see what it says. And there's a link there that actually goes us, the Pierce County Toy and Geek Festival.
I wonder if that's the guy who does like the Awesome Comic Podcast or something like that. Was talking to me somewhere recently that he was talking about that he was going to be trying to start a convention somewhere in Pierce County. I wonder if that might be him.
What I'll do is I have some information in my email. Let me see. I have the vendor booths application fee and the rules and regulations. And it's going to be from 8 to 8, I think. Oh, no. It's from 10 to 8 o'clock. People are paying, there's the early bird ticket gets you in at at 10, and then they've got all vendors must be set up at their tables by 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, because I think they have an early bird thing happening. And they're going to be fairly firm, like you cannot break down before the end of the show. They've got some very nice. I hate that when you're halfway through a show and the person next to you just ups and leaves. And so you have the dead table. So I'll go ahead and send that to you, Crystal. Bill, I'm assuming you're not too interested in it.
I don't know if I have it. I have it open right now, so I definitely keep it in mind.
Their website is www.pctgf.com. They actually have a working website. I guess word got out and they were getting hit by queries, so they got things up and running with them pretty fast. That reminds me, I need to send this off to some other people.
There. Oh.
Nope. Hmm. Nope.
So I learned something the other day. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but I heard that when people go to university in Japan and they stay at dormitories, it is a single occupancy residence.
Like there's just no shared dorm rooms.
There's no shared dorm rooms. Whereas in the States, that's like mandatory.
Yeah, they even pitch it as this like character building thing.
And there are all these apps now where you can, work with the college to, pre-check to see who you have and possibly switch over.
All because like some of the worst experiences in people's lives are when they end up with a bad roommate match.
Certainly, I had a bad roommate match when I was in at my university.
Yeah, I feel like I got fairly lucky with my matches, but I still ended up with somebody my first year that by the end of that year we'd gone from being friends to like she actually wouldn't talk to me anymore.
I had two guys of my three roommates, because I ended up with having four roommates the first time around.
Like 4 plus you or 4 total including you?
4 total including me.
Okay, yeah, my first year was the same way, and the person who was like in, because it was like 2 rooms and a shared bathroom and 2 people per room, and the person in the room with me I was kind of copacetic with until later, but the 2 girls in the other room I did not get along with from the start.
Yeah, all 4 of us had our beds were practically butted up next to each other.
Yeesh.
The big U-shape. So it was.
Ain't much avoiding that.
Yeah, the college I went to had suites where it was these tiny little rooms around a sort of living room area and shared bathroom. So
yeah, we had that, and they called it suites, but like we didn't have a shared living room area. It was literally just like 2 rooms and a shared bathroom and vanity.
Our bedroom and living, everything was all in one room except for the bathroom. And then for some reason, there were 4 cubicles in this other room, and that was the study area.
Damn, that sounds like you guys both got fairly big quarters.
It was fairly big quarters, and it could be good if you had the right roommates. 2 of the guys that moved in were friends together from high school.
Oh.
Steve and Stu. And you know what happens sometimes when friends from high school actually end up living together?
Yeah.
They did not remain friends very long. I ended up rooming with Stu after the first quarter. He and I managed to get a 2-room thing. Just it was small. not the best one out there. And then the next year, there was a guy that I ended up traveling with to college. I wanted, take care of gas and stuff. I had this huge station wagon. So I was looking for riders to, split gas and stuff with.
Yeah.
His name was Rich Hayes, and we had never met before then. But I gave him a lift over. And the next year, I was giving him a lift back at the end of the year, and he had gotten hold of one of the choicest rooms on campus. It was this corner room, which for two people, and it was the best layout. And the guy that he was going to go in with, well, the guy's grades didn't hold up. So he wasn't coming back. He says, "How about you?" I said, "Hey, I'm there with you." Because the guy I'd been rooming with, he had finished off his cabinet making class, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to become a cabinet maker. He probably is a cabinet maker. And he was only going to be there for 1 year. So Rich and I ended up rooming for 2 years together in that room. It was a great room. But after 2 years, you get tired of living in a college dorm because I realized I don't like the noise on the weekends because of all the partying.
Oh,
my college was pretty much was mostly a commuter college, so the weekends were dead.
Now, did your college require that at Ellensburg, or rather Central, all students were required to live in on-campus dorms the first year?
Oh.
Yeah, we had that at Western. The only way you could get I believe you could get a waiver if you had actually been declared independent from your parents. Like, I don't remember what it's called, but
yeah, when you're
like if you have abusive parents or something, and you have to be like legally removed from them at an earlier age.
Right, and you have legal authority to take care of yourself.
Yeah, or the kids, like people that actually grew up in that town in the mountains, could get a waiver because they could just expect to like stay at home for the first year.
Right. I honestly don't remember. I mean, in my case, my dad, who was of the belief that was part of the learning experience, didn't make it an option. And considering my college was the college I was in was pretty much a bus ride back home.
Oh, as in he made it clear that like you'd be staying at home and not being in a dorm?
No, I'd be staying in the dorm and not staying at home.
Ah.
He wasn't even particularly crazy about me making a habit of visiting on weekends.
Oh man, my parents were a bit the same way. They're like, "Okay, you're gone. Take all your stuff. Don't leave anything behind, or we might sell it."
Mm-hmm.
So, little interlude. Gonna talk for a bit. Try and get the camera back. Somebody stag the camera again.
Okay.
No, let her talk so I can see her picture.
Oh,
Let's see.
right.
I'm trying to.
Stop talking, Bill.
Ah! Stop shouting. It makes the mic do weird things. Anyway, la 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 talking. I'm just trying to show the colors because I've done the background and the foreground mainly so far. It's turning the gray really greenish, it looks like. Because this over here is actually more of a warm gray.
Yeah.
And not a green.
I think it looks very nice. The way you've been handling it with doing the washes first and then the colors. I mean, the black and whites, that's so that the black and whites won't bleed.
Yeah. It's funny, I developed this entirely because the pens I like, I can't marker over, and I don't like any of the pens that I can marker over. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to do colors first.
Language. This is an old age, you know.
Wait, is it? I'm pretty sure we've cursed in other ones. Okay.
F-bomb, though. I don't know.
Sorry, I will try not to drop any more F-bombs.
Okay. While we're at it, I mostly finished inking. I think I mostly finished this one. Well, I'm ready to start inking it. See what everybody thinks.
I like the layout. What is all the circles? Is it meant to be piles of coins or river rocks or what?
Sunflowers, according to that's one of the major things on the card, apparently.
Oh.
Why does the sun have a beer belly?
A what? Why not?
It's Modern Sun. Modern Sun doesn't care about appearances.
Normally the sun doesn't even have a body, so I think it gets off quite well.
I like that reasoning. That's as pink as I want.
I don't know. With that mask being held up in front of his face, it's sort of like, yes, it kind of screams body shaming to me. Did you have a staff there for a moment off one side? What's that line intersecting with a couple rays from the sun face?
Oh, a red flag. I mean, according to the symbology of the model I saw, apparently it also has a child riding a white horse. But considering the apparent one of the rules of the challenge is only one figure, I don't know if one should include stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a bit weird because it's not Taro, it's a character inspired by Taro.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking at Tarot one that has not a white horse, but two children in a green circle underneath the sun. There's still the sunflowers. There's still red flags, and there's multiple red flags in this one. That's weird. And a brick wall.
Does it say which set it's from? Because there's been a lot of copycat sets that they never really look into why the original write imagery or the Crowley decks used the imagery they used. They're like, oh, this is what this other tarot deck used, so I'm going to kind of run with it and change it.
Now I see another one. It's just a sun with two cupids dancing on a green field.
Cupids?
Yeah. Oh, here's an interesting tarot one. The sun is sort of like a Muka woman with her hair making up sort of like the sun circle, and then in a Madonna child type figure. And she's sitting on a wall surrounded by sunflowers. That's weird. I'm trying to...
I always feel slightly weirded out by the ones that try and go too Christian. But then I have to remind myself that the Origins of Taro was actually a playing card game that was being passed around by the Catholic hierarchy in like the 1400s. So it's very weird. It's like, it's not a Christian thing, but it's like a Christian game that was invented to try and like pretend to be heretical. The Taro has very weird roots when you look into the actual
Hey, Bill, I have an idea.
Yeah.
construction of it.
Why don't you put the horse heads on the arms of the chair?
That would be cool.
I got a Morgan Greer deck kicking around somewhere.
Morgan Greer.
It's the artist that did a particular tarot deck. I just loved his tarot deck so much. So if you type in Morgan Greer tarot deck, you'll get his artwork.
Huh.
Has a very late 70s vibe to it.
That sounds cool.
It's 5:30.
Does anyone have to be any place?
Nope. I'd like to finish this off in the stream if I can.
I'll hang out for another 10 minutes or so.
Sounds good. It's so rare that these go long. It seems like a lot of the time people are like, oh, gotta go, have things to do.
Well, on the East Coast, it would be anywhere between 7:30 and 8:30.
True. But none of us are on the East Coast, are we?
Actually, none of us today, but Patrick and Brett are definitely East Coasters. Where's Locke? Is he?
Toronto.
So he's on the East Coast too.
Well, Central, I think. Wait a minute, is Toronto Eastern Time or? It's right at the edge.
I thought it was like I thought it was in like Central Time because it's
what I
like
thought.
Newfoundland, Montreal, Toronto. It might be East Coast time. Because yeah, it's not. I know it's not far to get to TCAF from the East Coast.
TCAF?
Toronto Comic and Arts Festival. Or I think it's just Comic Arts Festival.
Pardon me.
Was that a sneeze?
That was a sneeze.
It sounded like you were shouting at a cat or something. The mic did some very strange things with that.
You should hear my wife sneeze.
Oh, wow, it is Eastern Time.
When my wife sneezes, it sounds like a pterodactyl call. It's this high-pitched screech thing. I've been with her for 30 years and it still scares the hell out of me. This is the type of sneeze that, if you do it in public, people look around like, what the hell? I have a neighbor who has a really interesting sneeze. It's always loud. He kind of sort of stifles it, so it sounds kind of painful. And I can hear it from next door, so. And then it's definitely him, not his wife or somebody else. He's got a very distinct sneeze. Don't think I've even heard her sneeze. Yelling at the dogs, though. She's really good at yelling at the dogs. Got that down. So my dad had a back operation some months ago, and he's recovering very well from it. He was telling his sibling, his identical twin brother, how much better he felt. Of course, his identical twin brother, who not only is a mirror identical twin, but also shared the same profession as he did, and thus has much the same body wear and tear, was very excited to hear about something that could possibly relieve his pain, but he doesn't have a doctor that's capable of doing the surgery in his neck of the woods, so he came out here to see if a doctor out here would be covered on his health care plan.
Ah.
And has decided to undergo the same treatment. So he'll be recuperating at my dad's house.
Well, that's great that they were able to get something that helped them.
Yeah. So I'll have normally I haven't been able to see my Uncle Bill because he lives way out in Taos in New Mexico.
I just wanted to show this off because I'm really happy with how the head came together, because it was very unformed before there's ink in there. And I'm always a little bit nervous when I'm putting the details in that the shading doesn't necessarily provide. So just happy that came together without any major accidents.
So are you all done?
Not quite. I really want to punch up this front part of the wing because it doesn't really have any real form until I get that edge of the wing in there. But I'm pretty close. I might go back over this because I feel like he needs a little more dimensionality. I might go back over it with a warm gray 5, because I went in with a warm gray 3, and I think it's just not quite dark enough to really give the lighting where it is in this picture. Did you post a link through Twitter for the sketch time?
Yes, I sent it out earlier. I thought I did.
You probably did. I have a friend asking me for the link.
I put you in on the Twitter. Let me double check that.
You did. I'm just not on Twitter constantly.
Oh, you don't have it set up on your phone?
No, or I would get things all the time.
I only have it set up to give me a notification when someone mentions me or when they subscribe to me. And I found that that's bearable. I usually get about 2 or 3 notices a day, and it's great for when I put out like the announcements on Twitter. When you guys like and retweet it, I know that you've gotten your invite.
That makes sense. Oh, yeah. Shoot. This just died.
I'll have to look at the settings of mine because, for the most part, it only tweets when it is addressed to me or has been mentioned. But then it also, for some reason, also pipes up when somebody likes a picture. And considering it usually is something incredibly knee-jerk, I try to ignore those.
Well, I kind of like it when people like something.
Mm-hmm.
I have it set up for that as well. But it's usually liking my picture, not liking somebody else's picture. Well, folks, I have to call it quits. Why don't you hold up your image one more last time, Crystal?
There we go. About 90% done.
Nice.
I need to get some better lighting to actually show these off.
Now I'm seeing less of it. I was seeing it flying before.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, Well, it's my plan to have another episode of Epic Sketch Time next week. If you have been watching Epic Sketch Time and you'd like to participate, please contact me on my Twitter, which is Mark Monlux. That's MarkMonlux. You can also look for Epic Sketch Time on both Google, and I recently created a Facebook page for Epic Sketch Time, and we'll be posting our videos there as well.
Oh, excellent.
See you guys next week.
Okay.
See ya.